Hello, I'm Toycat and welcome back to the video. Today we're talking about the console edition version of Minecraft. This is of course the version of the game you'll see most of the time when I do play Minecraft on my channel, and it's the version of the game that I like the most. I have several thousand hours across the various consoles, and again, it's a version of the game I actually do quite like, and that's something that actually surprises quite a few people. If you are a PC player or a Pocket Edition player, you might say, why the console edition, Toycat? And the reason for that is something I'm going to be explaining with today's video by addressing a lot of the misconceptions people have about the console edition version of Minecraft. It has changed a lot over the past 4 years, and a lot of things that people used to think were true just aren't quite true anymore. So yeah, today I'll be addressing a lot of the misconceptions you might have if you're a PC or Pocket Edition player, or just addressing some of the things that people might say to you if you're a console edition player, and why they're actually wrong about that. So hopefully you do all enjoy today's video. If you do, like it and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot, and let's know you do like these sorts of videos. But with that said, let's get straight into it already, shall we? The 4 misconceptions I'll be addressing in today's video is people who just say, oh yeah, the console edition is just massively behind all the other editions of the game, it's just not really worth playing for that reason. They're playing like 2010 Minecraft and something like that. The second thing people often say about the console is, oh, well, yeah, there's no real multiplayer options there. If you want to play multiplayer, it's a mess. It's the worst multiplayer for all the platforms. You really have to go on the Pocket Edition or the PC to play. And although there's a tiny bit of truth here, again, it's a massive kind of understatement about how the multiplayer does work on the console, and it especially doesn't take into account the way things are changing currently. And then third of all, people will say stuff like, well, there's just new updates in console. They'll get like one update a year, like way less updates than the Pocket Edition or the PC version. And then finally, people will say stuff like, oh, well, there just aren't maps available. You can't play custom maps. If you want any community-created content, you have to go to the PC version. And again, all of these things are misconceptions. I want to kind of address exactly why that is, and kind of just talk to you about why Minecraft console isn't this terrible version of the game that you might think it is. Because again, the way it is portrayed to certain people just makes people think it this way, and hopefully this video will change your mind, or at least give you a new perspective on the game. So with that said, let's start by talking about the fact that the console is just really far behind the PC, right? Well, not really. So the thing people actually say is that, you know, the consoles are really, really far behind, and that it's always just trying to catch up the PC, but never actually managing it. But the thing you got to bear in mind is the console did catch up the PC just last year. It came out with 1.8 while PC was on 1.8, and although 1.9 came out quite a few months later, it still means that, you know, even it still means the PC is only the tiniest bit ahead of the console, and and that gap will be bridged at some point. Whether it is in 6 months, whether it is in a year, at some point the PC and the console will be level again. But that's not all. The console, while they were doing that, they also brought out new editions of the game. The Wii U edition came out, the PS Vita, the PS4, the Xbox One. All those editions of the game were being developed at the same time, and now, as well as catching up, which again will happen, there'll be mini games directly integrated into the console. And although you might argue they're kind of like a PC feature, the fact that they're directly integrated and the fact that they can do so much more as being part of the base game, to me means that although you can say it's further behind than the PC, I just like to see it as like, yeah, it comes out a bit after the PC, but in return there's other stuff that comes along with it, which to me sounds about fine. So is the console behind the PC? Yes, but only by a little bit, and depending on what you want. You know, if you really want like command blocks, for instance, yeah, they're going to be missing for a while. But if you just want the vast majority of Minecraft features, they'll always be on console, maximum like, you know, 6 months to a year after the PC. So yeah, with that said, we'll move on to the second point here, which is that, you know, the multiplayer on console just sucks. If you want to play multiplayer, you realistically have to rent a server on Minecraft, or you have to get Minecraft Realms on Pocket Edition. There just isn't a real way to do it on console. But that's not entirely true either. So the really cool thing about console multiplayer that isn't true for any other platform is that you can just add and invite anyone who can play on your console friends list. If you want to just play, if you're on your PS3, you can just invite any friend over. They could just hop into your world, and you can turn any single player world into a multiplayer world, then back into a single player world, and so on and so forth, which is something that on the Realms you have to pay, I think it's $6.99 a month for on the Pocket Edition. And again, that's amazing that you can just do that, hop in and out, make it a multiplayer world, make it not a multiplayer, and you can just do that as many times as you want. So that's something I think is really cool. The fact that you can play hop in, hop out multiplayer, and just, you know, add different people, do this sort of thing, and I think that's really cool. Admittedly, you can't play as strangers, which is a big thing for a lot of people, but if you really want to, you can just go on forums, find people that way. If you have a lot of friends, you can just play with friends of friends, and there is different ways to meet people. It's just a little bit unique. Then pair the fact that there is going to be mini games coming directly into Minecraft console, and it's going to be better than ever than the PC, because if you want to play mini games on the PC, you go onto a server where the server forces microtransactions. There's literally adverts on the servers. I think it's Mineplex. They're like, oh, please watch this 20-second ad before you can get into your server. What is that all about? And then you get in the server, oh, if you pay some money, you'll get a better kit, or you get it destroyed by people who do have that. That's an awful, awful system compared to, oh, I'll just hit mini games. Oh, I'm playing with strangers. Oh, there's no microtransactions. I'm just here. And I think that is a much, much better system personally. The ability to just be able to play instantly without any random stuff getting your way, without any real payments getting your way besides like a $2.99 map pack if you want it. I think that's a much better system, and that's why I think multiplayer on consoles, it's not better, you don't have more options, but the options that are there are much easier to do, and if you just want to play with some friends, it's easier on the console. So the third thing that people say about the console is, oh, well, it's, just not updated ever. Like, how many updates has there been so far this year? Toycat, I'll give you a clue, it's one. Actually, there's been none this year, the last one was December last year, but, there's been no updates, major updates so far this year. What's that all about, Toycat? Well, the thing is, if you count bug fix updates, which people generally do on the PC, like 1.9.1, 1.9.2, 1.9.3, etc., then there's actually been quite a lot of updates, and the console gets just as many updates, minus a couple, than the PC and the Pocket Edition does, and bear in mind that the console does have to go through a 2-week phase, and it's on 6 different platforms. That is pretty impressive. Then bear in mind the fact that the console does get 2 major console feature updates a year, whereas the PC's been doing 1. It did 2 this year, but it did 0 last year, 1 the year before that, 1 the year before that. The fact that console's been doing like 2 or 3 every single year means it's been updated more than the PC. Also, a lot of those updates were multiple PC updates. So yeah, is it the least updated? No. It's admittedly not as frequently updated as the Pocket Edition, but the things that do come are generally bigger, and if I had to say, I'd say the console's actually the one that's been moving the fastest from where it was, 4 years ago to where it is now. So is console least updated? No, it's arguably the most updated. That's just not an argument. That's just people not understanding how updates work, in my opinion. So the final point people will make is that, there's just no maps available on the console. What's that all about then? So the thing about this last point I wanted to raise is that, yeah, admittedly you can't just, share a map with a friend. You can't hit a share button and send it over to them, but you can share a map by just inviting someone over to your world. If you have a cool world, you can invite someone to it. If you see a cool world and that person's willing to invite you, you can do it that way. But there's also a whole bunch of other systems where you can get maps. So there's every mashup pack has a free map for you to explore. So if you want to see a Mass Effect map, it's built by professional artists, you can do that. If you want to see a Skyrim map built by professional artists, you can do that. If you want to see all these things, you can do it from the game. But there's also the matter of the fact that there is a way to get maps. It's only on the PS3 and the 360. You have to use third-party tools, which I really don't recommend because Horizon is like, the installation process is a mess for that. But, if you're really willing to go into all of those steps, you can download maps for your PS3. You can download maps for your 360 and then spread them to your PS4 and your one. And the fact that you can do that is pretty cool. In addition to having, maps from the game, again, in this easy way where it's just like, I want to check out a Skyrim world. I want to check out the Super Mario Mashup Pack world. You can just do that. But then there's also the maps in the same kind of vein as the PC. But then there's also being able to just hop into anyone's world at any time, as long as you both have, the internet. The fact that you can do all of that is pretty cool. So to kind of summarize here, if your opinion of the console edition is that it's this worst version of the game that, Microsoft just makes some money, because Notch has actually said a few times, it's really funny, he just admitted he made the console version because he wanted to make some more money. Fun little fact, by the way. Admittedly, that might have been his initial thing, but 4J Studios, the developers, have been working on it for 4 years. They have been releasing non-stop updates, and although it might look like it's moving at a really slow pace, it is this really cool, really accessible version of the game that is the only version of the game that is accessible and also kind of more controllable than if you don't like touch. So yeah, if you want something that's more, if you don't like the PC because, it's not too accessible, you have to generally go through more steps and stuff. If you don't like Pocket Edition because the control's stuck, I feel like the console is the perfect mix between the two. If you have friends, call them up, oh, what's your gamer tag? You add them, you play them, they're in your world, you're in their world, you're both, seeing each other's builds, and the fact that you can do all of that so easily is something I think is really cool. That's why I love the console edition. It's so easy to access. The controls for me, as someone who's been, using consoles all my life, it's just something that is much better, and that is the reason I have thousands of hours in. And if you want to say, oh yeah, I still prefer the Pocket Edition after this, or I prefer the PC, that's fine too, but to say the console edition is just this inferior product is, I feel like, not doing it justice, and that's where I wanted to leave with today's video. So hopefully you did all enjoy this video thing. If you did, like it and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot, and lets know you do like the kind of defending console thing, because a lot of people who have been subscribed to my channel recently are PC or Pocket Edition players, and again, I want to just make this to let you know what I think and stuff. Otherwise, share the video if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if subscribed, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and goodbye.